Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're cracking open alchemy, a tradition that did not die, by Dr. Uncas, also known as Pappas.
Pappas.
He was a prominent figure in like the late 19th and early 20th century occultism.
Right.
And he really gets to the heart of what alchemy is all about.
Yeah.
Now, you might think of alchemy as that ancient practice of trying to turn lead into gold.
Right.
Right.
It's a common misconception.
Yeah.
While the pursuit of transmutation was certainly a part of alchemy, it was just one thread in a much larger tapestry.
So it's deeper than just a get-rich-quick scheme.
Much deeper. Think of alchemy as a holistic system.
Okay.
A fusion of science, philosophy, and spirituality.
Okay.
Imagine alchemists and their workshops not just as tinkerers surrounded by bubbling concoctions, but as early scientists meticulously observing the natural world, seeking to understand its hidden principles.
That's fascinating. So how did this scientific side of alchemy manifest? Were they like conducting experiments like we do today?
Absolutely. They were pioneers in fields like chemistry and botany, constantly experimenting with substances and observing their transformations.
Okay.
But here's the key difference. They weren't just observing these changes on a purely physical level.
Right.
They believed that these transformations held deeper symbolic meaning, reflecting processes happening on a cosmic scale.
So it's like they saw the universe reflected in their experiment.
Exactly.
Wow.
Take, for instance, their fascination with the idea of evolution.
Okay.
Long before Darwin, alchemists believed in the concept of transformation as a fundamental principle of the universe. They summed it up with the phrase, all is in all.
Okay.
A recognition of the interconnectedness of everything.
Right.
They even incorporated the Kabbalah Jewish mysticism into their work.
Okay.
Drawing parallels between it and ancient Egyptian and Gnostic traditions.
It's incredible how they were weaving together these different threads of knowledge, seeking connections across cultures and time periods.
That's the beauty of alchemy. It was about more than just isolating elements in a lab.
Right.
It was about understanding the interconnected web of existence, recognizing the spiritual dimension woven into the fabric of reality.
Okay, so we've talked about how alchemy blends science and spirituality.
Right.
But what about this elusive philosopher's stone we always hear about?
Right.
Was it real?
Yeah.
And if so, what was it actually supposed to do?
The Philosopher's Stone is perhaps the most enduring enigma of alchemy.
Right.
While often depicted as a magical substance capable of turning base metals into gold, for alchemists, it represented something far more profound.
Okay.
Imagine, if you will, a red powder, said to possess the concentrated essence of vital energy.
Okay.
This, they believed, was the true nature of the Philosopher's Stone.
Interesting.
Not merely a means to create wealth, but a catalyst for accelerating natural processes, for purifying and perfecting matter.
So less about getting rich and more about unlocking the hidden potential of nature itself.
Precisely. Think of it like yeast added to dough. It doesn't create the bread, but it activates the inherent life force within the ingredients, causing the dough to rise and transform. The Philosopher's Stone, according to alchemists, could work in a similar way, but on a much grander scale, influencing not just metals, but the plant and animal kingdoms as well.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
But how did they believe they could create something so powerful?
Yeah.
Did Dr. Uncas shed any light on the process?
He did. He provides a surprisingly detailed account of the steps involved in creating the Philosopher's Stone.
Wow.
A rarity amongst alchemical texts.
Okay, so walk us through it.
Okay.
What was the first step on this alchemical journey?
First, they had to extract what they called the philosopher's mercury.
Okay.
Now, before you imagine them dipping into vats of quicksilver, understand that this wasn't your ordinary mercury.
Right.
Alchemists attributed symbolic meanings to everything.
Right.
And for them, mercury, with its fluidity and ability to dissolve other metals, represented something far more fundamental. A primordial substance at the very heart of all matter.
So this philosopher's mercury, it was like the key ingredient, the foundation for the whole process.
Exactly. They believed that this special substance held the key to unlocking the secrets of transmutation.
Okay, so they've got their philosopher's mercury. What's next?
The next stage involved creating what they called ferments.
Ferments.
Special preparations made from silver and gold.
Okay.
These weren't just simple mixtures, though.
Okay.
Each step was carried out with meticulous precision, carefully controlling the heat in special ovens called athanors.
Athanors.
Which were specially designed to maintain a constant temperature for extended periods, sometimes even months.
These alchemists were serious about their craft? It sounds like a delicate dance between fire and matter.
It was, and as these ferments were heated in the athanor,
right,
alchemists believed that they underwent a series of color changes, each one signifying a different stage in the creation of the Philosopher's Stone.
Like a visual language.
Yes.
A way of tracking the transformation as it unfolded.
Exactly.
Wow, that's incredible.
Imagine their workshops filled with these glowing vessels.
Right.
Each one a microcosm of the universe.
Oh.
Undergoing a slow and deliberate alchemical metamorphosis.
This is incredible. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the language of alchemy itself. Their texts are notoriously cryptic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Full of symbols and allegories that seem impossible to decipher.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
To understand the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone and the alchemical process as a whole, you first need to learn the language of alchemy. And to do that, we'll have to delve into the world of symbolism, secret codes, and hidden meanings.
Right.
But that's a story for another time. You know, it's fascinating how these alchemists used language as a tool for both revealing and concealing their knowledge. They communicated in a rich tapestry of symbols and allegories, drawing inspiration from mythology, astrology, even the natural world around them.
It's like they were trying to create a secret language that only initiates could understand.
Right.
But what was the purpose of all this secrecy?
Yeah.
Were they just trying to keep their discoveries from falling into the wrong hands?
That's part of it, certainly. Remember, this was a time when knowledge was power, often jealously guarded by those in authority, revealing the secrets of nature, of potentially having the ability to transmute matter. Could be seen as a threat to the established order.
So they use this coded language as a shield?
Right.
A way to protect themselves and their work.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it was more than just protection.
Okay.
Imagine, if you will, that the very act of deciphering these texts, of grappling with their symbolism, was itself part of the alchemical process.
Wow.
It was a way of training the mind to think differently.
Okay. To see beyond the surface of things. And grasp the hidden connections woven into the fabric of reality.
It's like they believed that true understanding couldn't be handed over on a silver platter. You had to earn it to wrestle with the knowledge and make it your own.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the importance of understanding the stage of the alchemical process a text is referring to. The language shifts depending on whether they were discussing the initial preparation of the philosopher's Mercury. The creation of ferments. Or the final stages of transmutation.
So it's like following a map where the landmarks keep changing depending on your location. Can you give us an example of how this alchemical code worked in practice?
Absolutely. Let's take an excerpt from Figuere's Alchemy and Alchemists, a book Dr. Ankas himself often referenced. One passage reads, and I'm paraphrasing here, "One must begin at sunset, as the red husband and the white wife unite in the spirit of life, to live in love and tranquility, in the perfect proportion of water and earth." Okay, that sounds more like a romantic poem than a scientific recipe. How would an alchemist interpret that?
To the uninitiated, it does sound rather poetic. But to an alchemist, those words held a very specific meaning. The red husband and white wife, for example, weren't referring to a literal couple, but to the active and passive principles, often represented by gold and silver, which needed to be combined in perfect harmony.
So they're not talking about a sunset stroll on the beach, but a precise alchemical operation.
Exactly. And this kind of metaphorical language was woven into almost every aspect of alchemical writing.
That makes deciphering their texts sound like a real challenge.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a moment. And go back to a question that I know is on everyone's mind. Did the Philosopher's Stone actually exist?
Yeah, that's the big one.
Are there any real accounts of transmutation? Or is it all just myth and legend?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And while skeptics may dismiss it as pure fantasy, there are, intriguingly, documented accounts of transmutations that fit specific criteria designed to rule out fraud.
Really? Tell me more. What kind of criteria are we talking about?
Well, these weren't just tales whispered in dark corners.
Right.
These were accounts recorded by respected figures.
Okay.
Individuals who took meticulous steps to ensure they weren't being deceived.
Right.
Take, for instance, the story of Johann Friedrich Schweitzer.
Okay.
Better known as Helvetius.
Helvetius.
Now, Helvetius was initially a vocal critic of alchemy.
Okay.
Particularly the idea of the Philosopher's Stone.
Right.
He considered it to be a fool's errand.
So, not exactly a believer then?
No, not at all.
What changed his mind?
A mysterious stranger.
Mysterious stranger.
One day, Helvetius receives a visit from this individual who claims to possess the elusive Philosopher's Stone. Okay, I can see where this is going.
Right.
The stranger tries to sell him the stone for an exorbitant price, right?
Surprisingly, no.
Really?
The stranger, wanting only to prove the existence of the stone, gives Helvetius a tiny portion of it.
Right.
Just enough to cover a mustard seed.
Wow.
He then instructs Helvetius on the precise method for conducting the transmutation.
And what did Helvetius do? Did he try it?
He did.
Okay.
Despite his skepticism,
right,
he was too intrigued to resist.
Right.
And according to his account, the experiment was a success.
Wow.
The lead he used transformed into pure gold.
Wow.
A fact that was later verified by local goldsmiths.
Okay.
And even the official sayer of the Dutch Mint.
That's quite a turnaround for a self-proclaimed skeptic.
It really is.
Are there other accounts like this? Or is Helvetius an outlier?
There are other intriguing cases.
Okay.
Like the one documented by an Italian alchemist named Bergard of Pisa.
Right.
Bergard, determined to avoid any chance of trickery.
Right.
Went to extraordinary lengths.
Okay.
He personally purchased all the materials for his experiment from different merchants and even used his own crucible. And guess what?
He also witnessed a transmutation.
He did. He claimed to have transformed mercury into gold.
Really?
Using a mysterious red powder, much like the one described in countless alchemical texts.
Okay. Two seemingly impossible transformations.
Right.
I have to admit, it's making me wonder.
Yeah.
And here's the truly remarkable part.
Okay.
Even the renowned philosopher Baruch Spinoza, a man known for his logic and rational thought, was drawn into the mystery of the Philosopher's Stone.
Wow.
Spinoza, the father of modern philosophical thought.
Right.
That's fascinating. What's his connection to all of this?
Spinoza actually corresponded with several individuals who claimed to have witnessed Helvetius's transmutation firsthand.
Wow.
He even examined the gold himself.
Wow.
And while he remained cautious, he acknowledged in his writings that he found the accounts and the evidence to be incredibly compelling.
So we have these accounts from alchemists.
Right.
Skeptics turned believers.
Right.
And even respected philosophers, all pointing to the potential reality of the Philosopher's Stone.
It's pretty amazing.
It's definitely a lot to process.
It is.
But before we get too lost in the world of transmutations and cryptic texts, let's delve into a document that lies at the very heart of alchemical philosophy. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus.
Ah, yes, the Emerald Tablet.
Right.
A text so profound yet so enigmatic that it continues to fascinate and baffle scholars to this day.
It sounds like we're about to unlock another layer of the alchemical puzzle.
We are.
But what exactly is the Emerald Tablet?
Right.
And why is it considered so important in the world of alchemy?
Imagine, if you will, a small tablet of emerald green stone. Inscribed with 12 short cryptic pronouncements. Legend has it that this tablet, containing the essence of alchemical wisdom, was discovered in the tomb of Hermes Trismegistus.
Wow.
A mythical figure often associated with wisdom and magic.
A message from the mists of time. No wonder it's captivated people for centuries.
Right.
What kind of wisdom does this tablet hold?
The Emerald Tablet is a distillation of core alchemical principles. Expressed in a language that is both poetic and profound.
Right.
It speaks of the interconnectedness of all things. The power of transformation.
Right.
And the hidden forces that govern the universe. One of its most famous lines, "As above, so below," perfectly encapsulates the alchemical worldview.
As above, so below.
Right.
I've heard that phrase before, but I've never fully grasped its meaning.
It's a tough one.
What does it signify in the context of alchemy?
It's a recognition of the interconnectedness of the universe.
Okay.
The idea that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm and vice versa.
That's right.
Just as the stars move in the heavens, so too do the elements interact here on Earth.
Okay.
The same patterns repeat at different scales.
Okay.
A concept we see reflected even in modern science, like in fractal geometry. Alchemists believed that by understanding the laws governing the universe, they could unlock the secrets of matter and even influence the course of nature itself.
So it's about recognizing the fundamental unity that underlies all of creation.
Exactly.
But the Emerald Tablet doesn't just talk about the physical world, does it?
Bravo.
It also delves into the realms of the metaphysical and spiritual.
Precisely. The Emerald Tablet introduces us to the concept of the three worlds.
Okay.
The physical, the metaphysical, and the spiritual.
Right.
All interconnected and influencing one another.
Wow.
This Trinitarian concept wasn't limited to alchemy.
Right.
It resonated with philosophical and religious traditions across cultures and time periods.
It's fascinating how alchemy weaves together these different threads of thought.
Yeah.
Creating a tapestry of knowledge that spans centuries and continents.
It's really incredible.
And the Emerald Tablet doesn't just present these concepts as abstract ideas.
Right.
It emphasizes the power of analogy.
It does.
Suggesting that we can understand the hidden workings of the universe by observing patterns and relationships in the world around us.
Exactly.
So it's like the universe is speaking to us in a symbolic language.
Right.
And it's up to us to learn how to interpret its messages.
Exactly. And one of the most profound messages encoded in the Emerald Tablet is the existence of a universal force.
Okay.
A creative principle from which all things originate.
Okay.
The tablet refers to it as the thelema, often translated as will.
So there's this underlying will, this driving force that animates everything in the universe.
That's the essence of it. And this concept has resonated throughout history, taking on different names and forms. Some call it the astral light, others the universal Mercury. You could even draw parallels to more modern concepts like electromagnetism, this invisible force that permeates everything.
It's as if the alchemists were tapping into something fundamental, something that connects us all, even if they didn't have the scientific language to describe it in the way we do today.
Precisely. And it's this quest for understanding, for uncovering the hidden connections between the material and the immaterial that lies at the very heart of alchemy.
It's certainly making me rethink my own preconceptions about alchemy.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how it goes far beyond the stereotypical image of a solitary alchemist hunched over bubbling flasks, obsessed with turning lead into gold.
Indeed. The true alchemist was often a philosopher, a mystic, a keen observer of nature, seeking to understand the universe and our place within it. They were driven not just by a desire for material wealth, but by a thirst for knowledge, for spiritual enlightenment, for unlocking the hidden potential within themselves and the world around them.
And they encoded their insights in a language designed to both protect and reveal their knowledge. Passing down their wisdom through generations.
And while much of that knowledge remains shrouded in symbolism and allegory, it continues to intrigue and inspire us. Offering glimpses into a worldview where science and spirituality were not separate disciplines, but two sides of the same coin.
Speaking of which, we've talked about the philosophical and spiritual side of alchemy. But what about its practical applications? Did alchemy have a lasting impact on the world beyond these esoteric concepts?
It most certainly did. While the quest for the Philosopher's Stone might seem like a relic of the past, the legacy of alchemy can be found in some surprising places. Even in our modern world.
So we've uncovered the philosophical and spiritual underpinnings of alchemy, but where do we see its fingerprints in our modern world? It's not like we're bumping into alchemists on the street every day.
That's true. You probably won't find them listed in the phone book. But the influence of alchemy is more pervasive than you might think. Take, for example, the world of secret societies. Groups like the Rosicrucians and Freemasons, steeped in symbolism and ritual, have long incorporated alchemical themes into their traditions.
Interesting. So these societies are keeping the flame of alchemy alive, at least symbolically.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
They see themselves as inheritors of this ancient wisdom, preserving its secrets and teachings for future generations.
It's like a hidden lineage of knowledge passed down through the ages.
Right.
But what about something a little less clandestine? Are there more visible traces of alchemy's influence?
Believe it or not, you can find echoes of alchemy in some of Europe's most iconic structures.
Wait, are you saying that cathedrals and castles hold clues to this alchemical past?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Take, for instance, the Tower of Saint-Jacques in Paris.
Okay.
Its design is replete with alchemical symbolism, a testament to the influence of these ideas during the medieval period.
I never would have guessed that a simple tower could hold such secrets. Are there other examples?
Oh, many. Notre Dame Cathedral, also in Paris, practically has an alchemical narrative etched into its facade.
Wow.
The symbolism can be subtle,
right?
But once you know what to look for, the connections are undeniable.
It's incredible to think that these remnants of alchemy are hiding in plain sight.
Right.
It makes you wonder what other secrets are waiting to be uncovered.
Yeah.
But what about people actually practicing alchemy today?
Right.
Is that even possible in our modern scientific world?
It's rare, for sure.
Right.
But there are documented cases of individuals in the 19th and 20th centuries who claim to have kept the alchemical tradition alive.
Really? Like who? Were they able to prove their claims?
There's a fascinating story of a 19th century alchemist named Ciliani, who dedicated his life to rediscovering the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone.
Right.
After decades of research and experimentation, he claimed to have finally succeeded.
Did he share his secrets with the world?
He did publish his findings.
Okay.
But true to alchemical tradition, they were shrouded in symbolism and allegory.
Right, of course.
He even claimed to have used the Philosopher's Stone to heal the sick.
Wow.
Echoing those ancient beliefs in its power to perfect and purify matter.
It sounds like a tale straight out of a history book, a blend of fact and legend.
It really does.
Were there any other modern-day alchemists who left their mark?
Dr. Nkos, our guide for this deep dive, wrote about his encounter with a Swiss alchemist named H. Etter, who believed he had mastered what alchemists called the astral fire.
The astral fire. That sounds intense. What did this Etter believe he could do with it?
He claimed to harness this subtle energetic force, much like the vital energy embodied in the Philosopher's Stone, to initiate alchemical transmutations. Sadly, the specifics of his methods remain a mystery.
It seems the secrets of alchemy, like its symbolism, remain elusive.
They do.
But even if we never find definitive proof of things like the Philosopher's Stone or the astral fire, do you think there's still value in exploring alchemy today?
Absolutely. While some might dismiss alchemy as outdated superstition, its core principles, the interconnectedness of all things, the transformative power of nature, the quest for understanding the hidden forces that shape our world. These ideas are perhaps more relevant now than ever before.
Especially in an age where science and spirituality are often seen as separate, even opposing forces.
Exactly. Alchemy reminds us that these are not mutually exclusive concepts. Perhaps the true Philosopher's Stone isn't a material substance, but a way of thinking, a way of seeing the world that bridges the gap between the material and the immaterial, the scientific and the spiritual.
That's a powerful thought to end on. So for those listening who feel inspired to delve deeper into this fascinating world, where should they start? What alchemical texts would you recommend?
Figures, Alchemy, and Alchemists, while written from a skeptical perspective, offers a great starting point. It decodes many cryptic alchemical texts and provides a solid historical overview for a more first-hand account. Ciliani's Hermes Unveiled, though dense with symbolism, offers a glimpse into the mind of a modern alchemist.
And for those who want to go straight to the source, we have the works of alchemists like Jabiri ibn Haytham,
of course,
known as Guerra, and Paracelsus, true pioneers in the field.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
It's been fascinating. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
It's been a pleasure as always.
And to our listeners, until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.